Hey everyone, it's Matt, aka Tech Ranger, and today we'll be talking about weather mods, which is pretty much like the paint on the walls for your game. Depending on which one you pick, might be a little hard to configure, it might just be something you install and then you have it ready to go. There's a difference between a weather mod that's kind of a one-size-fits-all approach, so it gives you like a particular look, and then you deal with the different weathers that's going to obviously change the look of the game. Or you have one that has something like presets, which we have in Mythical Wonders, which will also change the look of your game on top of adding some weather. So in this video I thought it'd be a good idea to take a look at both Mythical Wonders and Haze 2 just to see what the difference is in terms of visuals in some of the different areas in the game, and then you can determine whether or not you want to use one or the other, since I used Haze 2 in my latest load order video. So if you get some value out of this video, feel free to leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more of this stuff in the future, and let's take a look at some of the differences between these two mods and what they look like. So Haze 2 is a great example of a weather mod that you just kind of install and it does everything for you. Includes a lot of weathers, yes, but the main draw here is the visuals, for me at least. Everything else is kind of icing on the cake. So if you get some different weathers depending on the seasons in the game, that's really cool, but I'm kind of here for the visuals first. Everything else, awesome. I mean, just look at Whiterun at dusk and how good it looks. And I think all of this, what we've seen so far in this video, gives Haze 2 a very unique look when you're just looking at general weather mods and what they look like from the pictures and the thumbnails that you might see on Bethesda.net, or whether you're just browsing mods on the mod page. Combining two of the best things from this mod that I really like are the skies and the volumetric lighting that the mod introduces. We have this early morning hour of around 7 o'clock, and then we go forward an hour at a time. You can see the change in lighting over time just from that morning to midday hour, and we get a really nice even look at the middle of the day, whereas in the morning we have a lot more light going on because the sun's coming up. So there's a similar situation here in the morning when we're looking at these trees and how the light is actually bouncing off the leaves. We can see by hour here it changes up until midday, and then the lighting gets a lot more even just because the sun is fully out, so we get more of an even look later in the day. Now that's all great, but there are some downsides. So depending on what kind of weather mod you're looking for, you might get some really dark nights with Haze 2, and sometimes you might be able to see what's going on. Sometimes you might get darker nights. Other times you might be in a snowstorm, and that decreases your visibility even more, and you can't really get out of it unless you maybe wait it out. But if you're in an area like Bleak Falls Barrow where there's a lot of snow and you're on top of a mountain, odds are you might not be able to until you get inside. And while it's nothing new with lighting changing throughout the day, because it's Haze and what it brings to the table, it makes Skyrim feel a little bit more alive and less artificial like it did in the original Skyrim game, even with these special edition enhancements. So to compare everything now, let's take a look at Mythical Wonders and what that brings to the table as far as weather goes. You can actually change the preset for this mod, but we're actually going to just look at the default version. I do have a video on Mythical Ages and the different presets. They are basically the same presets. So if we head up to Bleak Falls Barrow, which we did before with Haze, you can see there's a pretty big difference here just in terms of the lighting and the time of day. I mean, the time of day is about the same. Basically that vanilla weather that we kind of saw in the Haze 2 when we looked at that. However, it seems a little less intense here and a little bit less in your face. One of the most striking differences in just the overall lighting of each mod, how they use the god rays and the volumetric lighting, is pretty apparent at dusk. I mean, look at this clip from earlier in the video that we looked at for Haze 2 versus what it can look like when it's actually dusk for Mythical Wonders, and then what it actually looks like in the transition to night, which is overall brighter because of the sky that's added to the game. So even on the default preset of Mythical Wonders, you're still getting a lot of color added to the game, which is probably the biggest difference between the two mods right out of the gate. Another thing I do like about Mythical Wonders is the actual snowstorms. It is a little bit intense and it does kind of get in your face, and it's a little too much at times, but it does look pretty cool, especially in one of my favorite spots, which is Morthal, which we'll take a look at another comparison here. I think the lighting in Morthal, especially towards the end of the day, is pretty different. The difference between the two mods becomes even more apparent with what the sun is doing and what kind of light is actually coming from the sun, whereas Mythical, you have the orange coming from the sun, and in Haze 2, you have a much more muted, more realistic sun, but it changes the whole lighting of Morthal in general, gives it a little bit more of a green look, which I really like, but there's things I like about both mods here. Bonus points if you made it to this point in the video and counted how many times I've said sun. And that's going to do it for this video. Hopefully this was a helpful look at both of these mods and what you're going to be getting if you install one or the other. I'm still playing through Haze 2 with my current load order and seeing how it changes through these different seasons in the game and what kind of different lighting I'll see. One thing to note about Haze 2 is that you do want to load it before enhanced lights and effects. I actually had this the other way around in my load order video. This is because Haze 2 actually affects the lighting indoors in some areas. You want to make sure that that kind of overwrites what's in enhanced lights and effects. I would probably recommend doing the same thing for Mythical Wonders if you decide to go with that mod instead. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like down below if you enjoyed the video, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.